Welcome to Enlightened Coffee Hour. And we have been spending some time talking about all things, um, not hauntings, uh, spirits, ghosts, the different types, the experiences that each of us have or have had within our time in life. Um, And it's important, I think, to share our stories to know that we're not alone, that these things are happening all over the place and more currently at this time than any other time that I've ever experienced. More things going on, um, orbs, all the way up to actual sightings, to white apparitions, to shadow people. They are happening everywhere and in so many people's homes and in our lives, our workspaces, places that we frequent. Um, it's just everywhere. And by now, most people understand that throughout our lifetimes, we've had a veil that has been there, that has separated our world from the afterlife. And that veil has been getting thinner and thinner and being lifted more and more as time has gone by. And all of a sudden, we find ourselves with no veil at all, really. There's really nothing left. Um, this is the reason why we are experiencing so many more things with the afterlife and noticing how things truly are meant to be. um, we're just becoming so much more awakened, so much more alert. And I feel like this thing is really riding high today. I don't know why, but there we go. So, oh gosh, let me see. Um, I have been, I have been meeting with a young woman, a mom, and her mother, um, the grandma, who live in the oldest um, house in Allegan, the oldest home built that still stands. And they are experiencing so many different things within their home. And a lot of it is benevolent, a lot of it is pretty dark and scary. And what's going on there, um, I am. I'm tempted to call it an incubus type haunting, um, type thing being there. And whatever this is, I think there's many, and I do believe that the land is haunted as well. And it is, they are actually terrorizing the young children that are in the home. And I know darn well this is not the only home. There's a lot of this going on everywhere. Um, you know, recently I've had to kind of step back and think things through. And the question that I keep coming back to is, if we are feeling very restless and uneasy and uncertain here in this world, why can't the spirit world feel this as well and react accordingly? So, um, this has been such a hot topic lately. And I know for a fact that how things were here, it's that way in the afterlife too, just with a little more clarity and a little more clear thinking and love and positivity involved. But um, that doesn't mean that they can't experience some of this really weirded out um, energy that is going on, right? Um, let me get on here so I'm able to see your comments, um, and see when you join me. Make sure my volume is all the way down. Okay, there we go. Hi, Jordan. Let's talk about my daughter, Jordan. Jordan, I so wished I could bring you on. Not quite sure how, but Jordan, let's talk about you. You know, you can chime in, and you know, I know my daughter is here, and she's been having experiences as well within her home. Do I know that you've experienced some doors opening and closing? Not sure what else. Sounds, I believe you mentioned some sounds of things. And all of these are pretty typical for what everybody is claiming that's going on around them as well in their homes, apartments, workplaces. Um, and so I just feel, Jordan, I feel like yours is a residual haunting. Somebody that lived there before that has since crossed over, of course. Um, I'm trying to get a feel for yours. I feel there's both there's an elderly couple, male and female, and I do feel like they still inhabit the place and inhabit the land. Um, I can't sure. But anyway, just a lot of craziness that is going on around us. And I know for us, we're actually hearing a lot of sounds within our house. We're feeling things. We're feeling touching of the hands, touching of the skin. We can feel that kind of, if two hands were to mesh together and kind of come through each other, that how it feels, that's what we're experiencing um, a lot of playing with the crown chakra, the hair, touching the face, the leg, kind of wrapping around the leg, childlike. Children come at you from the legs. And I know that I am living with the spirit of my son, who I lost. Or he never had a chance. Was never born into this world. Um, and uh, what else? Um, Seeing the orbs, seeing things out of the side of our eyes, and um, a couple months ago. No, I think it was a few weeks ago, probably 5 weeks ago or so, six maybe. Um, yeah, about maybe 6 weeks ago. Tony was homesick. I had to work all day here. I went home. I had dinner by myself. And while I was standing, Tony was in bed sleeping. And while I was standing by the kitchen table, I seen the white apparition, kind of like smoggy. And I seen it float across the kitchen floor and come right over by me. And then as it got to my side and started passing me, it just disappeared. Um, and I do believe she made me feel like she was female for one. I was very cold at that point. And I I believe it was the little old lady, Helen Kibbe, that lived in our home. She owned it, and that is who we purchased the house from. Her granddaughter sold it after she passed. And my grandson had also, the one that just graduated, had also had an experience with her. He was up cramming for his exams one night, and um, he had witnessed this female apparition walk right up to him. And it freaked him out so bad, he left the lights on and everything and just went to bed. Left it high and dry, books all over the place. Um, so these things are really happening heavier and heavier than, I remember when I was a kid, it was once in a while. We didn't see them all the time. And now all of a sudden it's so much more frequent. Um, and not just us, it's so many people. And um, gosh, I'm trying to think of another experience that we had. Let me see. Let's talk about a certain house that I used to live in that was extremely haunted and not by something that was very nice. It was something pretty. I've had a couple houses like this under my belt that they weren't very nice. And they would actually connect with you. And usually is in a way you did not want or didn't welcome. And um, in this, it's the second one that I lived in that was pretty ornery to say the least. But the first or the second one was when we first left big city to move to the countryside. And we had assumed a house from Tony's sister, unknowing that everything that was going on in it. Um, it took us probably about 2 years before things um, really started to amp up and become so much more than what I had ever anticipated. But at first, when we first moved in, this is where my hearing kicked in. And from the time we first started living there, I could hear many, many, many voices all at one time, like they were whispering right in both sides of my ears. And um, it would happen inside of the house, day and night, outside of the house, day or night, didn't matter where I was. Many, many, many voices. It sounded like, oh my gosh, 100 voices is what it sounded like. Groups of 100 voices in both ears. And the only time I would get reprieval from this is if I left the property altogether. Then I was good to go. But as soon as I returned and stepped foot out of the car, it would happen all over again. And I didn't know what was going on for a long time until I realized that these were ancestors and they were trying to warn us of something. And once a truth came out, the voices stopped and went away. So I thought that was kind of it. That was it for that house. I thought that was as big as it gets until it wasn't. And until we started hearing our names being called, voices being spoken out loud, as well as what seemingly was right in your own ear. Um, my gosh, we would hear things move. We would hear footsteps. We would hear things drop. Um, my grandkids, my daughter and her kids came to live with us for a little while and stay with us. And um, the oldest granddaughter, when she was very young, it attached it, well, not attached to her, but took a liking or a hatred, however you want to put it, towards her and terrorized her to, oh my goodness, to all ends. Really, really terrified her. Was teaching her um, what it was like to be dead, the color of dead people. She was 4. She was 4. Was teaching her how to hang herself. Was calling her all sorts of really dirty, foul names. Um, Scaring her, terrorizing her in any way it possibly could. And once the next child came along and reached a certain age in this house, and in this instance, the kids had to be about 2.5 years old. Once they hit 2.5, there was no holds barred for the spirit and what it would do to these kids, and it would start terrorizing them. it got a hold of her brother, my granddaughter's brother, my grandson, the next in line, and went through the same thing with him, but was getting stronger and getting worse. Terrorized her into, or him, into knowing what dead people look like, knowing the color of dead people, knowing what it sounds like to be choked to death, um, knowing how it feels. Because at one point in time, they stayed in a they slept in a bunk bed, and he had the top, and he was being pulled by his feet through the bars and was being hung by his neck by the bars, and he was actually choking. And his mom woke up to that sound and had to scream for his sister to get up and help her kind of push him back through the bars and stop him from hanging like that. So, it was getting much worse. And then there was a time where my daughter was in the living room and she was on, well, not living room, I was in the living room. She was in the multi-purpose dining room office area. And he was on the computer, and Chris was laying on the floor. He slept. He was terrified by that time, didn't want to go to bed on his own, not in that house. And he was laying on the floor in front of me, and I was having some popcorn and watching a movie. And all of a sudden, I heard this darn sound, and I'm looking around very slowly, and I see my grandson on the floor fighting to get hands from around his neck, and he was being choked, um, which absolutely terrorized me at that moment. It was like I didn't I didn't know what to do at that point. I was not accepting of my gifts. I was only just playing around with them. So I really was not accepting of them at the time. And I didn't know exactly, what to do or who to contact. And I didn't even know those people that would help you with this stuff. And so things just got worse and worse. And everybody that was in my family had some sort of an experience in that house, including one daughter who was pretty skeptic until she came and stayed for a little bit. She came to stay for the weekend, I believe. And right outside her room, she could hear a rubber ball dropping and bouncing all night long. And her kids were in the room with her, and everybody was sleeping. There was nobody bouncing any rubber balls in the house, but that's what she heard all night long. And she was a believer from then on. And I don't know if she ever really came back to spend the night in that house. Um, but yes, these are the things that people are experiencing. It didn't just end there. There's more and more and more of it. And so many people are coming up with these stories. And I would love to hear your story. If you have a story that you would love to talk about, if you need help trying to figure out how to um, kind of rid your home or workspace or whatever of or land even of these unwanted guests, um, send me a PM. I'll look into it. I'll do what I can to get connected to you and have you possibly come live with me and talk about this and see if we can't find. I'm trying to sit comfortably, and it's just not going so easy. My lower back is just killing me today. But we can look for ways to help you get past all this and rid the home of the unwanted that you no longer want there anymore. These things tend to make you feel a little bit uncomfortable, but if they don't, good for you. Never show them fear for one thing, because then they'll have more fun terrorizing you. So you absolutely want to stand your ground to these things. Um, I remember one time in this house, and my mom, um, she was never a believer until she was, and she had to be forced to be the believer. And when she experienced things in our first really haunted house, once you experienced it, it was over. You had no choice but to believe in what you cannot see. Um, Once you experience it, and In this second house that we lived in that was terrorizing the grandchildren, we had a stairway that went upstairs. And one night, my daughter and I was in the living room. We were in the living room, and we heard like walking down the stairs, like there was somebody pounding. It was pounding, and something went boom, 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 and we were like, "All right, it's one of the kids. They don't want to go to bed." And so my daughter was going to get up and go to the door, but she all of a sudden didn't feel so easy about it. Jordan, by the way, and um, all of a sudden, something told me, you got to face this. You have to face up to this. Never, you have to face your fears. Never run from it. And so I could hear my mom telling me this. You have to face your fears. And so reluctantly, and I'm telling you, hugely reluctantly, I went to this door and I froze outside the door. I could not put my hand on that handle for nothing. And all of a sudden, who I'm feeling the chills right now from this. Ooh. And um, I put my hand on the doorknob and I tried not to let myself think about it, but I did. I put my hand on that doorknob and I flung that door wide open. And when I did, you could see your breath in the hallway. It was freezing, cold air that returned and black. It was dark, dark in that hallway. Totally freaked me out so bad that there was nobody there. Yet we both heard what we heard, and the kids still remained sleeping. That was nuts. Can't explain it. Don't know what it was, but it didn't take us too much longer to get out of there and not go back. I remember one evening, once again, my daughter and I, Jordan, we were painting the kitchen and something kept blowing the fuse, kept tripping the fuse. And so we had to keep going to the basement. Well, if you know anything about the country, it is pitch black in the country. You don't get all the street lights, right? And so we were painting. The lights went out again. It was multiple times that night. Every time we would start singing and having a good time, the lights would go out. And so her and I went down to the basement, but before we had to go outside to go around to get to the basement. And when we did, when we got to the stairwell, we heard this high pitched moaning type female howl. It was not an animal, not an animal at all. This was a person. And if I had to say, if I had to label it anything, I would say it sounded like I would imagine a banshee would sound like. And we were surrounded by woods, so that didn't make it any better. There was cornfield and woods, um, coyotes, uh, cougars, um, those things were wandering around the woods at that point in time, but this did not. And I will never buy that that sounded like an animal. It was no animal. That was a human, a female. High, high, high pitched scream, screech. It was a screech, um, like a moaning, howling screech. And it was just so, it's never left my memory since then. I don't know if Jordan, if you ever think about this, but um, it's never left my mind. It's just been a very crazy experience that we had. Both of us never wanted to go back outdoors again, and not in the dark anyway. So it was just par for the course for that house. But I had later learned we moved out of there, and about 4 years later, we were talking to a neighbor about an old neighbor from that house about the friends, a lot, my granddaughter's friend that lived across the field in the next house. Um, I'm wondering whatever happened to them. And we were told that they actually fled their home in the middle of the night due to hauntings in their home as well. Now, I don't know if it is because they left our home and went over there. Is the land right there all haunted? That's what I'm assuming. Not quite sure. Um, but it was, I'd love to know what happened in their home. I would love to find them and be able to talk to them about their story. Um, it would compare stories. I would love to be able to compare stories. That would be phenomenal. But I'm pretty sure that there's something in that area that's really, really um, not a good thing. Not being in a good place. It's just a crazy setup. I don't know, but residual. Not so sure that that's all that's going on there. That's probably part of it, but not all. I do believe that there's something really big that haunts that land. Just not quite sure what it is. Um, yeah, I was just told that there's somebody buried in the woods out back. I don't know. I wonder what the likelihood is. I have no idea. Um, and then moving on to the house, the current house that we are in. Haunted? Yes, it is. We have a little, like I said, a little old lady and her husband. So we have the couple that still haunt the house. And we do have names for them. Uh, she's Helen Kibbe, and I think he's Irving Kibbe, something like that. And they both still receive mail. The mail don't listen when you put on their deceased, do not deliver, nothing like that. So they're both passed, and we see them. We only get 2 sightings of a day, every day. Around 7:30 in the morning, if you are standing by the kitchen sink, you'll absolutely feel him come from where the hallway is that goes to the one guest room, the laundry room, and the bathroom, and the living room. You'll feel him come around that way and then come over to the corner where usually the coffee pot is and so on. And then he grabs what appears to be an old metal lunch pail, the kind that they used to take to the mines, and then they have a big silver thermos. That he grabs that ensemble and walks out the door, but he's very polite because the our fence was not always there. We put it up, and so it doesn't match with where the porch stairs are. We offset it, and so you actually have to go down the little path to get out the gate, to go down the driveway to get out. And he does that. He minds his manners and he uses the gate. No, he doesn't open it, but we hear it click. We hear the fixtures click all the time. You can hear it from within the house. So we're constantly thinking that somebody's there and coming through the gate when there's nobody. And then right around 5:30 in the evening, you will see him come back through the gate and come back up on the porch and into the house, and he disappears. So his is a residual haunting. Um, Ellen Kibbe's is, I'm not quite sure what to call hers because she's not like, you don't ever see her moseying around the house. You only see her make the one path. So maybe it is a residual haunting, but she comes from that hallway and comes right through the kitchen and stops over in the corner. And then she just disappears. You don't ever see her go back. You don't see her come from anywhere else. Just that one path the whole way. But they don't ever hurt anybody. They're just living their everyday life as they did while they were alive. So, that's not a real big thing. Um, let me see. Um, there was one time uh, last year, I was shooting, I was getting photos of my house, and I was using the infrared detector camera so I could see if there was any spirits. You could see the spirits and they would pick them up. And I wanted to see if there was. And there was one that was way far away. And I couldn't really make him out. Even if I expanded my camera lens, I could not really make him out. So he was over there talking, and I was getting words, and he was being kind of flippant, I guess. And so I asked him, I said, so um, can you come closer to me? And he wouldn't, and he wouldn't. So I kept asking him, kept asking him, kept asking him. After about the fourth time of doing so, all of a sudden I had to fling myself back in the chair because he was right up in my face and my camera couldn't catch anything but that little circle of him. He was too there. He was too there, too present. And that really, really, really freaked me out quite a bit. Um, I haven't played with that a whole lot since then, but maybe I should. I think I'm going to walk around here and see what I can catch today before leaving. And then I'll shoot some photos on Zenlightenment and show you what they actually look like when they come in. The energy, it picks up the energy. And I'll show you that it doesn't work when you put it on inanimate objects, only when there's been energy there recently or is still energy there. And it picks up the handprint, the footprint, the body, so on, faces, all of it. So we'll see what we can get. And maybe I'll just save the pictures and show them next week during coffee hour. And meet everybody then. So yeah, it's just been a lot of hauntings going on, a lot of things. Rest assured, there's nothing to really worry about. Um, just relax and remain calm and never show fear. Never, ever, ever, ever do you show fear to anything. Whether you can see it or not, do not show that fear. They actually feed on fear. They feed on that energy, a lower vibrational energy. Um, so, and you can always ask for the angels to come in and take the four corners of your home, your property, protect all that dwells within. That always works. Yeah, so there's just been so much going on, and so many people are experiencing so many different things. Um, and being told we're hearing a lot just as well. So a lot of people are hearing things. They're hearing the voices. They're hearing guidance. They're hearing um, ideas and everything that is being given to them. I think they're having a party out there. Uh, so yeah, um, it's just a crazy time in our lives. The children are the ones that I feel horrible for because they don't quite understand. They're not really understanding. I'm dealing with a young man that has, um, he's actually dealing with two negative entities that are visiting him. And these are something that we cannot even attempt to help them with because there's nothing known really for them to help with that. So I just can't go in and fight these things without knowing anything about them. We could make matters a lot worse. But he is seeing them, one for each side of him, and they are pretty terrorizing. I'm really wondering how he's doing as well. I don't know. I haven't heard from them in a while because mom just had a baby, and so they haven't been in. And I'm really, really curious as to how this young man, this friend of mine, is doing. He's a highly sensitive person, more so than any young person I have ever seen in my life. And he is definitely here for a special reason, very special. And I have only figured out part of why he's so special. Um, it's crazy. Yeah, just curious to how he's doing and how all of you are doing the same. Um, I was supposed to have them today, but I could not get everything together. It seems like every time I try to get some people put on here, things get busy on both parts and there's so many cancellations going on. Um, So, like I said, if you are watching this or if you see the replay and you have a story you would like to share and would like to get out there, let me know. PM me. I run a group called Zenlightenment. You can join the group and talk to me one on one, and we can get you set up with your story or to have you come live with me and get that story known, get it out there for everybody. The more you share, the less scary it becomes, truly. And the more strength I think you receive. And if there's strength in number, tell your story. You'll get the numbers, you'll get the people behind you that's had experience like this. You'll get information and guidance and ideas of things to do and try. And we here at Zenlightenment have moved into the arena of actually removing negative entities from people. So if you feel like there may be something dark attached to you, um, contact us. We can go through the questions and have a beautiful conversation and possibly get you set up to have some help. Um, if that's all we could do is connect you with somebody to help you in your area, that would be a big blessing. And or at least tell you where to go and what to do and let you take it from there. Um, all of a sudden, I'm aware of the energy that is around me. I can see it. And I'm seeing something move right here. Hmm, I don't know. But yeah, getting past these can be pretty tricky. They can be more unnerving than anything else. If you've ever walked through a room and felt like you walked through spider webs, that is a typical sign for walking through spirit. Um, Feeling the difference in temperatures. One minute you're perfectly fine, the next minute you're either freezing or you're extremely hot. And menopause is not the reason for it. The chill, the freezing you get from spirits being there. For me, it just happens to tell me the sex of the spirit that's coming through. If I am freezing, it is male spirit. But it's not just being freezing, I mean female. If it's not just, I mean, it's not just freezing in that way as if you're cold. This is more of a central line all the way down my spine. My spine will tense up, almost grip itself, and then all of a sudden I'm tingling up and down that spine, and it hurts. It does. It's a little bit discomforting. And if it's female, then all of a sudden I mean, male, sorry, male. The male spirit is, they generate a lot of energy and they're extremely hot. Um, and that will affect me just the same. It's more intense though than a hot flash. And I've been through 25 years of menopause. It can last for up to 25 years. Sorry to be the bearer of bad news, everybody, but ladies, but it can. It can last up to 25 years, and I went through all 25 years of it. Um, and I've never felt such an intense um, heating of your body. It's so much more potent than a hot flash is. If you can imagine that, and I'm sorry to say that because man, I've been through some pretty bad menopause hot flashes to where it's really left me not liking the extreme heat anymore. And for me, the extreme heat starts at 80. 80 degrees is all it takes, and I can't do it. Um, this is far more intense, and it comes from deep within you. You really feel that sensation, or you may feel the skin sensation of being really, really hot and flustered, and then all of a sudden the inside catches up, like you were just set on fire. Um, I don't know if everybody gets it this way, but that's how I receive spirit. And they always seem to be over the top with me, and I don't know why. Um, Probably to help me get it. I don't know. Um, but yes, it's just, oops, okay. I just had to write a message. Um, so yes, crazy times, crazy places, crazy experiences. But I'm happy that not just say psychic mediums, not just sensitives or empaths are getting these experiences. Everybody is. Even those that are not accepting, those that are not believers, are being made believers by the experiences they are having in this field. I have never met so many people in my lifetime that are all experiencing something to some degree as I have since I've been in this healing center. There's just been so much going on with so many people. We've had the privilege of doing some ghost hunting across the street with some friends of ours that own a place across the street and upstairs. And this, wow, the hauntings are phenomenal over there, just the same. Upstairs in this building is crazy haunted, just alike. Um, yeah, so the hauntings, the experiences, the chances of a lifetime. Um, it's I love it. I do. But that's me. I love all things spirit. Um, I love the experiences we have here, except for one. There's one spirit here who's a little bit kind of snotty to me. Um, he likes one of our girls, but he gets mad when she doesn't come around for a while. So he really lets everybody know it. But he went home with one of our other girls because his girl wouldn't come, hasn't been down here. And he went home with another one of our girls, and she's having that experience with him. The same experience I complained about here in the center, that he was trying to shove me down a flight of stairs, and he gets mad at me, and he'll full force, boom, and I can feel myself flying. First time I met up with him, I was coming up our basement stairs. And our basement stairs, when you get to the top, like the four last stairs from the top, that's where you feel the really steepness of the stairs. And once I got to that point, I felt him standing at the top of the stairs. And then I just seen the poof, and I could feel myself going back down the stairs. And I got a little bit kind of woo, and I had to catch myself. And right after that, like within minutes, I started getting phone calls and messages, text messages. Three people told me to be careful of stairs that day, that they just had a feeling I was going to fall. And I just experienced that at that moment too. So, hi, Rosaline. So I don't really care for him to be here. And there was one time I was moving my stuff out of what's going to be her room, and he was in there, and he came up behind me and shoved me out of the room. He doesn't want me in that room. He doesn't want me to have anything to do with Gwen's stuff, and he just doesn't want me here, period. So he's a little bit on the kind of evil, mean, obnoxious side, little whatever. I don't know what you want to call him. Mean. It's the only word I can come up with. Um, and so, Rosaline, we are talking about hauntings again today. More hauntings. Um, Next week, I think we will go on to something different. So this will be our last week with hauntings this week, unless you have a story that you would like to share with me. And if you do, then, like I said, PM me, tell me your story, and um, put it in writing so I can print it out and read it. Or connect with me and tell me, I would love to go on live with you and talk about my story. And so, we'll get you set up in either case, let you know the date that we're going to air your story. and we're going to talk about it. And if you don't want to come on live with me, I can look for somebody that. Sorry, Rosaline. You should have been here earlier to get the goosebumps because we talked about a house that we lived in that was pretty special, haunted by something that was very malevolent, very benevolent, very just evil and not nice. Um, and it was a crazy house. It really was. I was never so happy to move from that house as I was the day we left it. I was happy to move from any house. That house took the cake right there. Um, yeah, yeah. And I had other grandkids that came to stay there too, but they left just before they got to the age of being the target for this evil male spirit. Um, thank goodness they got out of there in time. But any child that would come there from 2.5 years old on up, this thing would ride that child until they would finally leave the premises. And I don't know why it spent more time attacking the children than it did the adults. The adults were the ones that were going to call the shots, and we were going to leave quickly if but I don't know. I don't know why it did it like that. I mean, if it would have done to me half the things it did to the kids, I would not have stayed as long as we did. Absolutely not. I would have been gone. Um, ah, yes, Rosaline. So many people have had this experience at one time or another within their house. Some people kind of sweep it under the rug and they just remain a non-believer and don't give two thoughts to it. That may be the better way to go. I don't know, but not me. I'm always the first one to call attention to it. Did you hear that? Did you see that? What's going on? What was that? I'm always that first one to call attention to it. Always. And um, oh yes, it's just been crazy, crazy time. And so I am probably going to cut out just a little bit early tonight. I've got so much to take care of. I have tomorrow and Tuesday off, and I've got a ton of stuff to take care of between now and Tuesday. And tomorrow, for a long time, I'm going to be off grid because I'm meeting my son's girlfriend and her children. And so we're going to be off grid for that. And then we've got things to take care of at our house to get ready for our incoming house guest, Deirdre. And we are so looking forward to you coming in, Deirdre. Um, but I want to make sure that everything is perfect and everything in your room is comfortable for you. You're coming in at the good times, but still the night times are the room you're in needs no air conditioner. It's nice and cool down there, cooler in the summer where our room is right above yours, but we get all the heat and it's so obnoxiously hot in the summer up there. But your room is nice and cool and it's big. And so we want to make sure that your room is perfect for you and you'll be quite comfortable and happy there. Um, and so we've got all this stuff to take care of. And then back to work. Excuse me, I got hiccups. Back to work here again on Wednesday, which means then our time is lessened. Excuse me. um, so we've got everything to get done. We've got grocery shopping and all this stuff to get done tonight. Um, and then got to make sure my house is spick and span. Everything is clean. Everything is in place. Um, and yeah, yes. And then we have other guests that are coming in pretty soon too. So we have to make sure that that guest room is put together. and everything is okay there. So, yep. It's just been a very crazy time lately, and we're going through so much. And I woke up this morning just feeling off and uh, not wanting to really play somebody else's game for whatever they want to say and do. Um, it just wasn't. I'm not biting other people's energy this weekend. It's just not sitting with me well. So I'm trying to stay to myself and kind of do my own thing and mosey at my own pace. Must be that light. I feel like I had just this light right here on just my neck. I didn't know where it was coming from. Oh, loving you too, Rosaline. We will talk to you later. And I am also, well, somebody else is here. So who else is here? Who else joined us? I would love to at least say hello to you. Absolutely. So we will talk to you later, Rosaline. And have a beautiful day, by the way. Um, but yes, we're going to get off here. And I will talk to you all later. I've got so much going on that I just got to go do. I've got to go price two things and get them on the racks before I leave today and make sure I gather what I need to take home with me. And so, with that being said, everybody, peace and love to you. May the light shine bright in your week this week. May harmony and love abound all around you. And I am so hoping that your wishes all come true this week. So, with that being said, tomorrow being a holiday, I am telling any veterans that are watching this, even on the replay, if you're a veteran and you served for our country, thank you for what you did for your service and your selfless act. We appreciate you fully. And I am going to leave and get out of here. So, you guys have a blessed Sunday. Make sure you don't forget to make a memory and enjoy your time fully. Bye, everybody.